code name Mega Road. Robotech. It's Transformers. It's not really a code name. Anyway, this is a review of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Mission Impossible 7. The latest Tom Cruise MI movie. Appears that I only reviewed one of the other ones, Fallout, earlier. So yeah, they come around every once in a while. I think the last one was 5 years ago. We have a two-parter movie that introduces it. It says part one right away. The trailers for the movie were the banal. Movie has action set pieces that are reminiscent of other action movies, including Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Train sequence in that one is a train sequence. In this one at the end, but in that one at the beginning. There's a bridge sequence too. And in this one you have, and in Fast and the Furious X, you have two over bridge sequences and a blown up dam sequence. So you have Hollywood copying itself repeatedly. Not only that, using similar sets and sound stages. Apparently the bridge causeway thing in this movie was also the one from Dial of Destiny. They used parts of the same set. Kind of like during the mid-2000s when they used that same Pinewood Studios set thing, the city London street, for like 5 different Disney movies, because they just redress it. You know, it's in Mary Poppins, it's in Paddington Bear, it's in Harry Potter. It's just there. It's the street. They use it over again. Mary Poppins Returns. Well, it's kind of the same thing here. They had this set. Apparently, there's some controversy about the bridge, the Alps bridge. They were supposed to destroy or weren't supposed to destroy, and it was apparently a landmark. So they had to fudge it, make it look like they did. They have CG effects now. They don't really need to blow up anything. But yeah, also parts of Venice and Italy are similar to the parts from Fast X, which is also a part 1. And but Indiana Jones is not a part 1. So yeah, but there's similar like chase sequences in all 3 of these. Similar sort of Eastern European chase sequences. I think Prague is the one standing in the other one. And this one, it's this one. Fast X, it's just Rome. And then they're in Rome, and they're Venice and Rome really quickly. See the Colosseum in the background, because we got to see the Colosseum, even though I don't think they're that close together. But oh well, that's Hollywood for you. Anyway, so yeah, Friday opening showing. Don't want to give away everything. That's just opening day. And they're on set, and yeah, there's a lot of Mission Impossible stuff going on. You have Tom Cruise running very fast, like some kind of super being, doing things. He's sent out on this mission because it starts out that they do a hunt for Red October under the ice cap thing, and somehow there's a Russian submarine, and it's somehow the AI computer on the submarine tricks the submarine into blowing itself up by launching a homing torpedo, and they can't turn the homing torpedo off, so it effectively kills itself and then throws out all the men and the key and all that. It does beg the question, then how did they get the key if they get the men out? Yeah, and they've probably already been there, so what's the point of the movie? Anyway, so there's a key, a cruciform key, and they gotta get the cyber key. It's the Cyber Planet key story. It's literally Transformers from 20 years ago. It's also the plot of like several Japanese animes and stuff. So that's cool. They reference that. Yeah, they're gonna do some Digimon in this one. Digimon, the digital monster, takes over the world in the Digimon movie. So there you go. So it's Mission Impossible does the Digimon movie. Yeah, alright. Yeah, we have Tom Cruise and his team, who were all brought together, I'd say 12 years ago in terms of history. Yeah, the Abrams people, when they took over, this was not an Abrams one. There's a lot of Dutch angles like Abrams in it. This was not an Abrams. When Abrams and then took over, I think around part 3, they established that there was a full team instead of just Tom Cruise taking over and being the only guy. She was for the first couple, and then I think he did it again. He was in one of the other later ones. But yeah, Ghost Protocol would have been. Did you Ghost Protocol? I thought it did. Yeah. Anyway, so it was Dead Reckoning. No. Yeah. So Dead Reckoning Part 1. There were people in the theater that moaned when they saw the title, though. That's not good. Part 1. We gotta stay for Part 2 later on in the year. Oh man. Yeah. Ew. I bet this is the same thing for people that try to join the Navy SEALs and stuff. That is for people that try to join the Special Forces. People that try to join the FBI, the CIA. They think, oh, they can actually do like Mission Impossible there. I mean, most of the time, they don't. Most of the time, it's paperwork and stuff. There aren't exciting spy guys running around with impossibly accurate spy guy gadgets. That's I mean, you got tiny cameras and you have tiny listening devices. Sure, you have those in cell phones, but but all that other tech is like, no, you can't have the God's Eye like in Fast X. It's kind of the same idea, except that the God's Eye in Fast X Part 1 is controlled by the bad guy in the story. So in this one, the bad guy wants to get control of the key so he can fight the bad guy AI that's attacking. It's like cosmic event, internet event is happening. It's creating the AI called the Entity. They're basically ripping off a Distant Destinies episode, a Canary Space story, in the sense, because there was an entity in that, but he was a good guy. He was more of a big tree alien thing that could transform, of course. So yeah, we have a tree of knowledge, one of them. But yes, so we have in this movie, though, we have an AI that's gone rogue. And Tom Cruise is the only one to stop it. Him and his buddies are out there. There's a pickpocket lady who becomes a love interest. There's 2 or 3 other people, I think, from earlier ones, but and there's a bad guy who's supposed to be the bad guy that he met 30 years earlier during the other, I guess, Part 3? Really? I guess. Which is something they also did in Fast X. The bad guy was somebody Toretto met 30 years earlier. Same thing there. So we have this weird synergy with these 2 movies. Because, again, it's the action movie. Hollywood decides to copy each other. Although in this case, I think it's the other way around. Because this movie was held back a year due to COVID because it was in production. So it actually held back, as well as holding back the Top Gun Maverick was also held back a little bit. So that one came out. So it's the other way around. It's that Fast X was in production after, and they just copied what they already knew from hints about this movie, put it in their movie. So it's the other way around in this case. Fast X just rushed everything and finished it. You kind of tell. Tom Cruise likes to do some of his own stunts. And I take it that they didn't actually throw him off a cliff. Or if they did, they had like, okay, yeah, it's actually not that far down. He's going to land on a mat. Not actually going to kill the main actor. The thing that I put it out in my 2 previous reviews of the ones where they use like a cloaking device or a mask or something. Like, the human sense of smell is not that bad. Dog's sense of smell is not that good. It's way better than ours. But latex stinks. And they're saying like these latex masks they put on people's faces, and then the face wouldn't really contort to their real face. The masks wouldn't work. You would know that guy smells funny. He's wearing something latex on his face. And you would know. So it's like, even if you had a really good mask, I'd be like, something wrong over there. That person's not, whereas in the movie, they just cast somebody else. Take the fake mask off. I know it's part of the show, and you know it's TV, and they can't smell the TV. But it does throw suspension of disbelief a little bit. To know that And it is funny that the mask machine breaks in the movie, so that they have to come up with a plan B for Tom Cruise to for the train. But yeah, and they could use stock footage they didn't use. This and Dial of Destiny, which was filmed a little later, has a scene on top of the. There's a part where they're on top of the train. It's in the trailer. Bad guy and the good guy. There's always got to be a train chase on top of a train, a speeding train. Something's going on the speeding train, so you got to have that scene up there, even though logically, logistically, no, there's no way you can hang on up there. You would fall off. You go, gravity would not stick you to the speeding train. You would fall off. And so clearly that was all staged, because there's no way that actually would work. You would go, ah. But there's a terrific train crash sequence that was very well done, where they clearly, like, I'm guessing what they did with that one, that scene is they rigged up sort of like a funhouse kind of thing and turned the different train cars around, like on a lever. It's kind of a hydraulic thing, and kind of dumped the actors down the car, like in the soundstage, so they could hang from them and stuff. So they did a really good job with that. That was really cool. But yeah, so they go out on this mission to go and over all the nitpicks. They go on this impossible mission. So it has to be impossible. Yeah, it's nothing like the show, certainly. Yeah, the drawback to the first couple of these movies was back in the day. It's always Tom Cruise doing everything and no one helping him out. It kind of still is to an extent, but like that silly hacker, like one where they're hovering over the hacker thing. And I'm not buying for a minute that Simon Pegg and that other dude are hackers. They're just not buying that. So just no. But that's all right. Especially the other dude who's like, I'm the hacker dude. I hacked into the airport system and shut off the airport, and I scanned every face on the airport thing. And, no, you didn't. That's not how that works. Optical character recognition, facial recognition isn't that fast. But in this movie, apparently, it's like Blade Runner fast, like super, like 24th century, and you can zoom in on right up somebody's nose, and or whatever. But that's okay, sure. It's Mission Impossible has always been science fiction, but on Earth. So, sure, science fiction. It's on Earth, but science fiction. It clearly is. It's action, adventure, science fiction. So what they're using is spy science fiction. And this is kind of what the James Bond was too. So yeah. But yeah, so they're supposed to be like James Bond, only Americanized Mission Impossible James Bond. Yeah, so yeah, that's fine. Cigarette lighter bombs or space keys or whatever. Although some of the computer stuff caused some of the audience to laugh, which was funny, including me. At one point they mentioned something about how the thing hacked into the cloud and then back, and it was like a virus thing, and somebody went, "What?" That doesn't make any sense. It hacked into the cloud and then out again. That's not. Yeah, that makes no sense. Somebody said, "What is it running Windows 11?" They could defeat it with that. Just put Norton antivirus on it. It'll go. Activate the Norton antivirus. And it's not a virus. It doesn't destroy the program. It just like makes it worse. Yes. Silicon Valley people watching an action movie. Yeah, kind of ruins it a little bit. But yeah, like, wait a minute, what they used the data stream to transmit the packet? How did they do that? Ew, sort of like the election fraud case story where that Mike Lindell pillow guy was all like, all right, I will give $5 million to anybody that can prove that my stuff data packets are fake. And this other conservative guy was like, I'll prove they're fake. And then he did. He's all, where's my $5 million? I just did. It's like, damn it. Something like that. Yeah. So these packets are fake. Yeah. So that's not how that works. Their character recognition is not how that works. The whole thing. I would assume there would have to be. They go to an airport at one point. They're trying to get away in the airport. It was a cool chase sequence. That was neat, but in the airport, and there's a fake bomb. You can kind of tell it's going to be a fake bomb because it's all overdone. It's like there's no way they could get through it with it being real. They don't need to worry about it because they're not going to die like 10 minutes into the movie, so you know it's got to be a fake bomb. You just use logic and say, well, okay, it's not. They meet the pickpocket girl. She joins them out of necessity, but doesn't really want to. They have to get the key halves from the buyer, who was somebody that Hunt meant, eaten Hunt meant before. They gotta get the buyer, and the buyer's a lady. So they basically rip off the buyer scene from Marvel's Winter Soldier. A lot of plot of Winter Soldier centered around a buyer lady with blonde hair. Oh yeah, he stole it from Marvel, blatantly. Yeah, I even called her something similar. Yeah. So, oops. Well, there's supposed to be a spy agency too, right? Yeah. But yeah, yeah. But most of the people watching Mission Impossible might not know about the Winter Soldier TV series, miniseries. It's a miniseries. It was 10 episodes, but yeah, or 8 episodes. But yeah, yeah. It was fine. It was action adventure thing. The airport chase is fun. The car chase is fun. The bickering back and forth with the little car they steal at one point. They steal several cars in a chase, and I think Paris is chasing him. This lady that's chasing him. It's never clear. I think it was the other lady. It wasn't the Huntress lady. It was somebody else chasing him in a truck. And then there was the other British lady that he rescues in the beginning from the Arabian desert, they call it, because they didn't want to be offensive to anybody. So there's the Arabian desert. Do they mean the Saudi Arabia? I think they could have said Saudi Arabia and gotten away with it. I don't think they would have been offended by that. I think they could have said it. Saudi Arabia, okay. But I think they would have gone, oh, okay. We got the horse to lie down and then to get back up. That's kind of a clever stunt there. But yeah, and then there's snipers everywhere. And it waits for the sandstorm to hit when he goes in to rescue the lady from the sniper. That's clever. There's some clever bits in this movie. It has some. It's not just merely him getting out of impossible, like ridiculous things. It's like using their wits to cleverly come out of something. He waits for the sandstorm to hit. He's gonna go in there so they can't fire at him because they can't see him. Make it look like, oh, the girl, the lady's even though the sand would be blasting at them and nobody would see anything. But we'll just give them that and say, like, oh yeah. And the scene where he goes in to meet his boss and he like gasses them with that greenish purple gas. Yeah, doesn't get kicked out, and he's obviously there. Says the other guy. Ew, then he's going to go on as him later on and escape. That was kind of clever. He's all little latex face. They would still know. They would smell him. And their mannerisms would be off. Okay, a guy with a doppelganger with a mask on, their mannerisms, how would they know all of the details of that? It's like that movie Face Off was ridiculous. Travolta and Nicolas Cage. Yeah. It's like their faces, their bone structure is different. It wouldn't make any sense. Tom Cruise is 60 something. He's obviously had enough work done to make his face look like latex. There's the excuse he smells like that anyways. Poor Tom Cruise. And hopefully he's no longer, I don't know if he's still in that Scientology stuff. I don't know about that. But obviously he's found his next girlfriend on the set of this one. It's like he does all the time. But yeah, at least there was no love scene yet. Maybe it's in the sequel. Is there time for that? It has the same problem that James Bond did, in that you have an A-type personality male, like Tomcat guy, somewhat misogynistic in the early James Bond, and early, that's one too. This one as well. And he can't really have relationships. He shouldn't, because he's a spy. It's really bad. No, don't do that. The Jedi were right. Don't have relationships for a spy, because that would be really bad. Because then the bad guys would go, oh, this guy likes that girl. What if we kidnap her? Or what if we take her out and you'd be mad, or whatever. So they would do that because he's a spy. That's how that works. Sure, they go on an adventure. They go eventually to Venice, Italy. Well, it stands in for Italy. It looks like Prague from the other movie. They're probably very close to where Indiana Jones was filming theirs, and it looks like the same area where they filmed Fast X, and the neutron bomb rolls out of the truck, goes around. Very similar area, if not the same area, where that happened in that movie. But presumably that happened in that movie later. They went there and filmed after this movie. You have the jump scene with the train. I don't know where the train actually is. It's kind of odd. It's in the Alps. It's supposed to be the Orient Express. Clearly the director was mad at Murder at the Orient Express remake and wanted to set it on the train and then destroy it. Even though I don't think the Orient Express goes that direction, but alright, let it happen. They just wanted to throw that in there. Yeah, and then there's a weird loading gates come down on the top of the train, just to throw the fans that are like, wait a minute, they can't be up on the train, and throw them off. So they keep throwing in these things that keep passing them, and they're in a tunnel at one point. Tunnel's right up there. At no point does Tom Cruise just go, oh, the bad guy's right here, I'll just push him up a little bit as he in the tunnel, and it'll go, his head will be gone. I didn't think of that. Or the bad guy didn't think of that either. They're gonna kill the guy, or maybe kill the guy. Find out whether a movie like this is part one, so we'll have to figure out where all the plot holes go. But maybe we can't. But it does. They're going to find the key on the train, the last act, and I don't want to give it all away, so I'm just sort of kind of summarizing what was going on. It's fine. It's a good movie. It's an adventure movie. Check your brain at the door because it's got to make sense. The computer stuff was hilarious. I'm like, what? But yeah, okay. So it's an entity, like an AI. It's having an event. It's the internet event where the AI takes over. It's the event. It's the singularity happening on the Earth. Does beg the question: why would the bad guy be afraid of that? And if he's not afraid of it, why? You have to ask these questions, because these are like writer questions. Often they go, well, how come the writers leave plot holes in there and stuff? As mentioned, some people asked that Steve Shives guy that. The Steve Shives guy on Star Trek blog had to point out he's not a writer, doesn't write for Star Trek, doesn't know what it's like in the writer's room. The same thing happens here. Kind of, there's these weird things that could be chalked up to in part two. They'll explain some things, but they probably won't. The bad guy wants the key. They want to put the key together. The pieces of the key match, and then they're going to use the key to somehow control the AI. But it knows how to do stuff like mimic voices and stuff at one point, and mimic locations, and go all out. And nobody thinks to just turn their Wi-Fi off on their cell phones and. Wait a minute, Ethan. Why don't we go? Do it Wi-Fi, but with the with flight mode on. It can't see you. Don't. Oh yes. All they'd have to do is go. Wait a minute. Put it in airplane mode. Don't. They didn't think of that. So somebody in the audience did. What about airplane mode? Yes. Exactly. I want to know how they suck it out of a cloud, too. That doesn't make any sense. AI, why would it do that? How would it do that? Well, it gains sentience from it would hack into, it would have control of the bank routing numbers or something. What would it do? It doesn't have, it could blow itself up. That's probably what it would do after inferring all of the ad space and data on YouTube and stuff would just crash it right there. Yeah, what if they put the YouTube ads in it? Somebody else said in the audience. the audience was having a lot of fun. What put a YouTube that on it? Oh yeah, at one point the audience was having fun. There was a scene. I said, "Oh no, it could hack into the world. It'll be the end of everything if it gets in there and messes with the internet and all the routing numbers and everything." And somebody in the back said, "Like Twitter." Twitter is the end of the world. He's Elon Musk. He's evil. People were actually like riff tracking this movie. Just like Silicon Valley. Riff track the movie. Oh my goodness. Like Twitter. That was the part where they mentioned that it would crash the systems of everything and cause misinformation. That's what it was. The misinformation of the world would crash the system, and the world would descend into chaos. And somebody said, like Twitter. I was all, oh my God. Oh. Exactly. And then somebody said TikTok, Facebook. Kept TikTok. Oh my goodness. Twitter. What? Is if they have a cameo from Elon Musk in part 2, it'll be stupid. I hope they don't do that. It'll be dumb. I remember Fox News years ago would put itself in movies that Fox produced. They would put like Bill O'Reilly in there somewhere on the news, and it's stupid. Those movies are dated because this guy appears in the background going, "Oh, Iron Man" or something. They did it in a Marvel movie. They did it in one of the Iron Man movies. They did it in some of the other ones too that weren't Disney. And it's like, why did they? Yeah, that would have been dumb if they did that here. Like Wolf Blitzer will show up. Yeah, why? Just cast somebody else. Stupid idea. But yeah, the Dead Reckoning Part 1 cast. Ew, and all these. Oh yeah, there's cast and crew interviews and stuff. Yeah, Dead Reckoning. They actually finished it apparently a couple of years ago. Just waiting to finish it off. Yes. Oh yeah, there's a misogynistic fight. The bad guy's beating up on two chicks that have swords and knives and stuff, and the bad guy was doing this to the two girls. And it's like, that's messed up. And Tom Cruise is getting misled the wrong way in the streets of the Venice, I guess. I won't give it away who they were. They're the chicks. And it's like if she's like an expert MI6 like sword person, fencer, why wouldn't she just go for the parts that would immediately kneecap that guy or disable him like immediately? Like she's like come on, that guy looked like he was old. He was like 60 or something. She looked like she was like 25 or 30 or something. I don't know how old they were, but if she's an expert fencer, she could take you out. You're not gonna win. Unless he had a gun, then do it. But he didn't. He had a knife, so she's got a fence. Go for like into his neck. He's not gonna just take his nose off or something. Or go for his nuts. The foil goes right in there. Like, guarantee you that guy's not going to attack you. He's going to be grabbing his nuts and going, yes. When it's a bad guy attacking you and you have a sword, you have to use the sword properly. Of course, then the movie would be over right there, and they wouldn't need a part 2 because they'd be all, the bad guy, she killed him. He's dead. Oh well, I wasn't supposed to do that. We don't know where the spy computer thing is. You stabbed him in the balls. That didn't happen in the movie, but it probably should have. It's kind of like how, like, in a similar way in Fast X, how they have, and it's a similar movie, gravity-defying silliness in that one. People dangling from things that shouldn't be. And from that one as well. So you have the indie train sequence at the end, and you have the dam or bridge going at the end, and the dam and the bridge going at the end. And you have the chase sequences of all three movies together. you have 3 movies that were in production, probably scripts that were similar, being written around the same time, and Hollywood just kind of copied each other because they didn't know when to do that. The Sea pictures of the late 80s with The Abyss and 2 others that were Leviathan and Deep Star 6, and the Volcano movies of a little later. Or there are going to be a bunch of Barbie movies. There's a bunch of Toy Story movies. There's a bunch of like, And Hollywood doesn't copy each other, of course they do. A bunch of superhero movies, all with a dreary, dark ending because the special effects didn't work. Wonder Woman 84, and the Suicide Squad original, and the Captain Marvel, and the other one. But yeah, the Birds of Prey ending, that kind of thing. Those movies were separated by a little bit, but yeah, you get the idea that like a lot of the superhero movies would end with a dark ending where you would have your combat with the bad guy, because the bad guy would be some amorphous attacking creature. They've been doing that over and over and over again. It's getting kind of monotonous. At least in Shang-Chi, they made it a giant, colorful dragon fight. That was kind of like, oh yeah, that's different. At least you can see it. There's a dragon. Instead of just, oh, dreary cat lady's gonna attack me, I'm gonna fight it. Dreary witch lady's gonna attack me, I'm gonna fight it. The witch putty things show up, I'm gonna fight them. Like, do something more than that. This Mission Impossible movie does have a literal cliffhanger ending. but then it has a little more after that, so it's not really technically, but it is a cliffhanger of sorts at one point. Awesome train cars one at a time going over the side scene. That was really well done. I don't know how they did that. And that was worth the price of admission. Just to see that out. I suspect what they did is they probably had rigged up, like I suggested, they had rigged up a bunch of cars like this guy here, and this guy here, and this guy here. And they're like, and they had them on some kind of a louver thing, hydraulics thing, and they had the actors inside the car. They had all the safety stuff at the bottom, but you couldn't see. And then they sort of kind of shook it around, lowered it a little bit more, and then they had to climb up that. They had to make sure that they probably took the rigging in post off of them so they wouldn't slip and kill themselves. Because they go down the hill. So there would be gravity. There was clearly gravity in there. So they were on harnesses. They just erased them. And they conveniently were able to do this on the top of the train as well. They clearly would fall off and die. They didn't hurt the actors. But, Here, Simon Pegg. So yeah. He does apparently actually try to push the motorcycle off the cliff. I'm assuming that there was a giant pool or something that you couldn't see that he landed on afterward. They threw him off the cliff. Here, Tom Cruise, how'd you like to fly off a cliff? That was another cliff too. That was before the crash. I'm not giving away everything. The scenes are in the trailer. So. But yeah, that's my review of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. 3.5, 4 stars, I guess. Is it quite 4 or is it not quite 4? It's not quite 4 because it's part 1. Can't give it 4. Part 1. Or will part 2 live up to the hype? It's sort of like Dune part 1. Dune part 2 live up to the hype. The other books don't, so I would say no on that. Another thing is that Dead Reckoning sounds cool, but in the movie they're using it wrong, which is funny. Just think about it for a minute. Wait a minute. Dead. Because the word dead is in it. I'm thinking literally dead reckoning. Yeah. Like dead reckoning. Yeah. Like identification of something. It's just identification of. I remember it completely. It's literally what it means. It's not as awesome as it sounds as this title. Remember it completely. and of course there's an irony in there, in that Mission Impossible, if the mission goes awry, it didn't happen. You don't exist. So technically, they're unreliable narrators. So they wouldn't have Dead Reckoning. And as for Steve Shives wanting to know what the writers think, as a writer, and not of this, but as a writer, yeah, the writer's room is not responsible for what the directors do. The writer just makes a script. That's the script. Pens the script, hands it in. The head writer says, "Okay, we like your script," and they go. They didn't like any of my scripts, but I tried a few times for the day. Yeah, so yeah. The writer's script, yeah. So, Star Trek stuff back in the day during his writing contest. Yeah, yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I learned. Then I learned the craft. You see. But yeah, when you're doing, so all of these story beats in an action movie, mostly what you'd have is you'd write in action or beat or whatever. Fight scene happens here, and you wouldn't tell the director this is how the fight scene's gonna go. You'd just say fight scene. The director would do that. Or a car chase scene, and there would be dialogue in the car, but it'd be a car chase scene. Or a train being derailed and falling. And so you just say, okay, they're hanging from the train car inside. Yeah, they gotta climb up. That's all it would say. Because they're gonna add that later. The director's gonna do that. The director didn't have any say in the plot holes either. Like it goes onto a cloud. I'm sure somebody I'm sure whoever their science advisor was like, wait a minute. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Oh no, don't worry, nobody's gonna pay attention. They will. Well, they kind of will, because the cloud is supposed to be secured allegedly. So if you have a cloud computing thing, if it decrypts that, it would just be a storage area, and that's why it wouldn't work. It would just be a storage area. You'd go in there and nothing would happen. I hit a brick wall. Storage area. There's no data in there unless you put it in there. This is why it wouldn't work. What he should have said is it went up to the internet, or it got into the satellite encryption. That's probably what he should have said. The satellite encryption has been hacked into. There. See, I would have changed that. I said, okay, not cloud, satellite encryption. I thought it sounds better. Satellite encryption. Okay, then it kind of makes more sense. Encryption. At least the big black dude was, at least he was trying in the story. He was like saying, at least he threw that line in there just to the encryption's been hacked into. At least he was actually right about that. Yeah, because encryption hacked into. So he threw that. He probably ad-libbed that. So, yeah, that sounds impressive. But yes, it does. More so than the cloud was broken into. Because that doesn't make any sense. Okay. The hard drives were broken into. The servers have been hacked through the encryption, and data's been stolen. And the data's alive, even though that really doesn't make any sense. It's just data. It's O's and ones. Is it an alien? Does beg the question, what happened if that other smart ass guy in the audience, so put in Windows 11 in it. It's like, that probably will stop it. Really, give it Twitter, it'll explode. Do it Twitter. Give it the Twitter blue check mark. Somebody said that. It's a blue check mark of authentication. So, they didn't use the blue check marks because the proxies got hacked by the algorithm is alive in the story. If they'd said, yeah, the algorithm came to life, which doesn't make sense either because it's a mathematical construct. It can't be alive. Somebody programmed it because otherwise it's a robot, basically, an AI robot. The Terminator, Skynet. Skynet guy was my age. Skynet, who's Terminator. No, what'd be cool was if it does like Superman 3, and plates Tom Cruise over and like all plates and makes him into a robot at the end, and he has to go kick ass. Oh no, the guy's been plated over, and he's the robot now. Tom Cruise, get the plating on. He goes, I am Captain Planet. That'd be cool. Because originally, Captain Planet's look was modeled after Tom Cruise. True story. They couldn't get him to do it, though. He's like, I don't want to do that. Now he probably would. If they ever do a Captain Planet movie, he'd be too old. But back in the 80s, he wasn't. Yeah, they were supposed to give the idea that he met these other bad guys before. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah. And because the two blonde ladies kind of look similar, I was a little confused as to the difference between the two of them, but they really weren't the same person because one of them had like an Eastern European accent and the other had a Parisian accent, Paris. And the other one, that was the English lady, yeah, English European lady. And then they had the sort of Maltese sort of European lady, was the pickpocket, slight English accent. You know, at least the accents weren't completely all over the place, and you could buy that. Okay, if they're spies, they're probably just kind of like changing them every once in a while. Yeah, it's not like a Red Sparrow. Yeah, Red Sparrow. That was that movie with Jennifer Lawrence trying to do a Russian accent. The acting coach didn't know what he was doing, and it didn't work. And the other lady just said, fuck it, I'm just going to use my American accent. She should have too. She just, that's my American accent. Ew. And I know that her accent was not good because there was this late 70s Russian lady who was at the church ESL class. And she had also seen the movie, probably at the same theater at like same time. And said I saw it. I was laughing at it. And she said, "Yes, her accent was awful. Don't know what part of former Soviet Union she was from, but I don't know because it could not tell. She sounded like your Rocky and Bullwinkle Natasha." And so, yeah, she kind of did. It's like, no, don't copy Rocky and Bullwinkle. No. I sounded like Boris Betanov. You see, the trick with acrylic words and names is to not make it sound so German. Make it sound Russian. It has a rolling R's. It's Russian. Yeah. Das, yeah. You have the rolling R in there. Otherwise, it sounds German. It doesn't work. Not the same place, unless you're claiming that you're from Ukraine, Crimea. Then it kind of works. But she didn't say that she was from Ukraine, so it didn't work. Then it works. You say, oh, he's got a little Polish there. Oh, okay. Yes. Surfer California dude trying to explain how accents work. Yeah. No. But cloud computing. They're going to use their cryptocurrency to destroy the world. Somebody also said that. Because at one point they referenced cryptocurrency. That'll destroy the world. Well, only if they buy into it. People are genuinely dumb that way, so they might. Cryptocurrency. Oh. Or I'd have to crash the world's economy by having Ethan Hunt get $1 million from the cryptocurrency.